record or hit the record button. So this recording will be available to everyone who signed up for the webinar, just in case folks weren't able to make it, and then we will place it on our website so people are able to access it, at any time, refer back to it, things like that. So we will go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time to be on this webinar. My name is Megan Langley. I'm the founder and executive director of Strengthen ND, and very excited as we move into kind of Bush Prize time. Look at the chat here really quickly. All right. So Bush Prize deliberation time and application time is always something that we look forward to because we get to hear so many wonderful stories of organizations and community groups and individuals just really trying to work very, very hard to meet their community's needs. And we get to learn about some of those successes as well. So today, as we frame up this session, a few things that we're going to go over are the criteria for the Bush Prize, just to make sure that we are as crystal clear as possible for people. And we are also going to kind of set up the Bush Prize criteria by first talking about creative community solutions. So one of the reasons that we do this is Creative Community Solutions for 2026, just like in 2025, has a similar grant deadline, and there's similar language between the two. So I know at times it can get a little bit confusing. So I'm hoping to pull a few things apart right now and make sure that we eliminate any of that confusion on the front end. So for those of you who are newer to Strengthen ND, who are newer to the process, Strengthen ND has two grant-making programs that we manage. The first is Creative Community Solutions, which is a biannual opportunity to apply to receive some dollars to support creative community problem solving. So the big distinction with Creative Community Solutions is we are looking forward into the future, meaning we're assessing the potential of a problem solving process that you're proposing to do in the future. Whereas with the Bush Prize, we're really looking back to understand the work that you've already done. And this is much more of an award or reward process. So first, with Creative Community Solutions, again, we are really looking to support communities, groups, nonprofits, governmental entities who are working to implement or to develop some creative problem-solving processes for a problem that's been identified in their community. So when we applied for this opportunity with the Bush Foundation, the overarching goal of Creative Community Solutions is to build problem-solving capacity of North Dakotans and those within the Native nations that share our geography. So that's why we are investing in problem-solving processes. We're investing in groups that are looking to either develop new and different solutions to common problems that they're seeing, to test those solutions, and then to eventually spread or scale those solutions. So this looks a little bit differently depending on the community, but with these solutions that we're funding, it's often not an like A to B type of process or project that we're funding. It's not, hey, we want to launch this new program, or hey, we want to expand this program. What we're really trying to invest in is all of the murky, muddy, twisty, turny problem solving processes that can happen when we're really trying to do something new and different. And we will say the word innovative quite a bit throughout this presentation. And when we're thinking about innovation at Strengthen ND, Certainly, we have the develop, test, or spread framework. But when we're looking at what those innovative solutions are that you're developing, testing, or spreading, we're looking at how you are maybe utilizing or activating or presenting common community assets in maybe a new and different way, or utilizing something in a new and different way. It doesn't have to be anything that's fancy, schmancy, technologically driven. We're really looking at how is the community utilizing the best resources that they have available to make the most positive change within their community. So with Creative Community Solutions, our process, because we want it to be something that's simple for folks to be able to access, is we first ask for people to participate in an introductory call with us. This is an opportunity for us to kind of explain the criteria and really help folks get a better understanding of what we're looking for. Because again, we're not investing in programs, we're investing in problem-solving processes, which is a little bit of a different take that a funder has traditionally done in North Dakota. So while the introductory calls aren't mandatory or required, we highly encourage them because we don't want folks to submit a proposal or apply for a project that is just outside of that criteria. We consider ourselves to be very good stewards of the dollars that we have from the Bush Foundation, and we stick very seriously to that idea of in what way are these funds building the problem-solving capacity of North Dakotans through some of these demonstration projects. So we have an introductory call that we do with interested organizations or groups. Then it comes to submitting that proposal. Now, many of you might notice when you go on our website that there isn't an actual application. And we did this intentionally. And that's because we want groups to be able to share their story in whatever way feels most effective for them. For some, it might be a traditional written narrative. For others, it might be a table or a flowchart. For others, it might be an illustration or a graphic. And for some, it might be sharing that story orally. So while we do offer this in a wide range of possibilities, a few guardrails that we do have in place are, if you're going to do anything written or utilizing a paper, it's got to be up to two pages of a PDF. Not 3, not 2.5, 2. Email it directly to me. For the verbal submission, no video, just audio between 3 and 5 minutes. Anything more than 5, we won't listen past minute 5. So audio file between 3 and 5 minutes, a paper or PDF, no more than 2 pages. So once we get that proposal into our system with a deadline of April 30th, what we do is we complete a due diligence interview. Now, this is what helps us standardize all of the information that is moving forward to our grant making committee who actually makes the funding decisions. So we'll ask you questions about your community, about your project stakeholders, about your problem-solving process and in what way it fits within the develop, test, or spread framework. We'll also ask you questions around in what way is this innovative for your community? Now, we know that innovation is going to look different depending on where you're located. In a super small town, it might look one way. In a Minot or a Fargo, it might look a different way. Within a Native nation, it might look another way. So we are open to whatever that innovative process looks like, as long as you can tell us what or why this is innovative. So we pull together all that information from you, and this kind of serves as your de facto standardized grant application. And your initial proposal, along with the notes from the interview, go forward to the grant making committee for a decision. We typically have less than a 2-month turnaround time. So what that means is for proposals that are submitted for our April 30th round, you will know by June 30th where you stand. And then after we go through and kind of create a custom grant agreement based on your needs, then the funding will become available to you. So that's our process. A couple of important dates to know for Creative Community Solutions is that we have 2 rounds every year. The first is April 30th, with that turnaround time of June 30th for a decision. We do, because we've learned a little bit over the last few years of doing this, and we want people to really think about their problem-solving process. We won't do introductory calls for at least 1 week prior to the deadline. So the last time that you can receive an introductory call from myself or from a member of our team would be April 22nd. We cut that off at April 23rd. As you can imagine, and sometimes it's just the nature of the beast, but we would get quite a few requests like a day or 2 days before the deadline. And that doesn't allow for anybody to really sit and think and understand what that problem solving process is. The second deadline we have is September 30th, with a turnaround funding notification time of at least by November 30th. And the last day to request an introductory call would be September 22nd, and we cut with the cutoff date then is September 23rd. So that is Creative Community Solutions. We like to talk about Creative Community Solutions before we talk about Bush Prize because the two are so interconnected. Again, with Creative Community Solutions, we are looking for organizations or individuals to tell us how they plan to solve a community-based problem in a newer, different way, in a way that is innovative for their community, and that follows that develop, test, or spread framework. Now, with the Bush Prize, what we are looking at with that is we are looking backward. So in what way has this organization, this community, this group of organizations demonstrated that they have gone through that creative community problem solving process, demonstrated that they have implemented an innovative solution, and really been something that is more effective than past solutions that have been tried. So the Bush Prize identifies and honors extraordinary organizations that consistently engage and lead their community toward creative solutions and provides them with flexible support to keep doing that work and supports them to amplify their story to inspire others. So every year, the Bush Prize North Dakota program selects 2 honorees. This is a little bit of a shift from previous Bush Prize iterations. We did this for the first time in 2025, where we selected 2 honorees for $250,000 each. And that's a flexible award to invest in their creative capital. Again, Creative Community Solutions, we're looking forward at what we're going to do. Bush Prize, we're looking backward at things that we have done, and this is an award for what we have done. Last year, our honorees included Hip Hop and Hope, which is a group out of the Fargo area. They do serve the entirety of the state, and they're working with just a population of folks who are justice impacted. And the second honoree is TNT Kids. They serve folks more in the Fargo area in a concentrated way, while also spreading their solutions to other groups in North Dakota. So 2 wonderful organizations who do really, really great work and clearly described and demonstrated the way in which they have developed, tested, or spread innovative solutions in their community in partnership with others. And I am seeing the chat notifications light up. I promise when we get to the end, I'll go back and make sure to address any questions that come up in the chat. And we'll also have time for folks to come off mute and ask those questions verbally as well. So if you're chatting questions to me, I'm not ignoring it. I'm just waiting until a little bit later. So a couple of definitions that we find to be really helpful so that folks can see themselves in the Bush Prize program and clearly articulate and identify the ways in which they meet the criteria. So the first is creative community problem solving. What does that exactly mean? We define creative community problem solving to be the process of developing, testing, and spreading innovative ideas to address community challenges effectively. Creative community solutions or problem solving focuses on utilizing available resources to create solutions that are effective, sustainable, and impactful. And this approach inspires and equips leaders to lead transformative efforts, generating solutions that can influence others and achieve measurable outcomes. So again, if you take away anything from this webinar, what we're hoping that you understand, or what we're hoping that you really think about, is in what way are we using the assets that we have available to us in a new and different way, in a way to develop, test, or spread solutions to solve community problems. Now, when we talk about transformational change, what we're talking about is systemic shifts that address the root causes of community challenges, resulting in meaningful and lasting improvements. So oftentimes we get, whether it's for Creative Community Solutions or the Bush Prize, examples of, like longstanding programs or programs that are really, really great and worthwhile. And they are really, really great and worthwhile, but we're looking at how are we addressing those root causes. So transformational change focuses on reimagining and redesigning systems or practices to create more effective, sustainable, and equitable outcomes. These shifts inspire hope and foster long-term progress by building capacity and resilience within communities. So creative community problem solving, transformational change. Two other definitions that we have for folks. The first is track record of creative community problem solving. So this is something you'll see reflected in the application as well as in the guidelines. What we're looking for when it comes to track record of creative community problem solving is an organization's consistent success in applying innovative approaches to address challenges. It demonstrates a history of developing and implementing solutions that produce measurable impact and serve as models for others. So what this means is we're really looking for organizations who embody kind of that creative community problem solving philosophy or approach, not necessarily like a one-off piece that's not fully integrated into that organization. And then innovation. Again, it's the process of developing, testing, and spreading ideas that address important community issues and create opportunities for improvement. And we are emphasizing the potential for ideas to benefit multiple communities or organizations, and supports the learning process to understand and evaluate the impact of those ideas, right? So when we elevate folks to a Bush Prize honoree, we're also taking into consideration the way in which other organizations and groups across North Dakota and the Native Nations, and sharing our geography, can learn from those organizations. So what little tidbits, what replicable models, what best practices, what approach has this organization demonstrated, where another community might say, you know what, we don't have that exact problem, but what we do have is another problem that maybe we could use the asset that they've identified in a different way or in a similar way, right? So we're really looking to elevate those groups that have done this work and that have shown that they are committed to kind of this approach or this way of moving forward within their community. Now, here's the nitty gritty, the criteria that you will be evaluated on should you choose to submit a Bush Prize proposal. So the 2026 criteria is the same as the 2025 criteria. So if you saved your proposal from last year, if you're a returning applicant, we would highly encourage you to pull that proposal back out and look at what way you can improve that proposal based on the information that you have now. So there are three basic criteria for the Bush Prize. The first is tell us about the impact of the creative community problem solving that your organization has engaged in. So again, does the organization have a pattern of engaging in and leading creative community problem solving? Now, we do want to note that significant impact can happen through creative solutions of all sizes. It doesn't have to be this massive statewide effort that you've led or participated in. It can be something as simple as generating some kind of efficiency or solution within your own organization, within a neighborhood, within a community. Again, we're looking very much at that process that you've gone to get to that solution. We will be asking, are these creative solutions that address community needs more effective, equitable, or sustainable than existing approaches? Are they making a significant difference? Again, could the organization inspire or inform others? And could the organization's practices serve as a model for others navigating diverse challenges and innovative solutions? So that's the first criteria. The second criteria is around that history of creative community solutions. So does the organization have a pattern of working across their community to develop new and innovative solutions to their community's needs? So we'll be asking questions around, does the organization have a history of using innovative approaches that offer real solutions for challenges and issues affecting their community? And can the organization identify and describe specific examples of processes, programs, or projects that use creative approaches, technologies, collaborations, and methods to drive sustainable change and solve problems more effectively? So again, that history of creative community solutions, was this a one-off that the organization did, or is this something that they've really embodied into the way that they go about their work? And the third criteria is around that culture of community problem solving, of creative community problem solving. So we'll be looking or trying to understand what leadership practices are put in place, what organizational cultural practices are put in place that drives that culture of innovation. And we'll be asking, is the organization rooted in their community and are they values driven? So a few questions that will be addressed within the application are, what deeply rooted values exist that enhance organizational culture and strengthen partnerships? How does leadership encourage and exemplify creative thinking and problem solving? How does the organization demonstrate their focus on solutions that tackle root causes for meaningful, lasting community change? And lastly, in what way does that organization demonstrate a strong track record of financial stability? With the Bush Prize, we are hoping to honor organizations that are going to be around for a number of years. So that's why that fiscal component is so important. We want to make sure that we are investing in an organization that is in it for the long term and that has the practices in place to make sure that it is going to be an organization that is around for decades to come. We do have some additional considerations, and this is more of a broader kind of look at Bush Prize in general. So as we go throughout and as the grant making committee selects the Bush Prize honorees, they're also going to be looking at, okay, do we have a balanced portfolio of honorees? Do we have honorees that highlight the great innovative work that is going on in very small towns or very small organizations, more of a grassroots approach? Do we have honorees that are reflective of the broader population of North Dakota? Are they geographically dispersed? Are they addressing different types of issues? So that's a secondary consideration as we're looking at the entire portfolio of Bush Prize honorees. Now, here's what's really important, eligibility. So again, Bush Prize, we're looking backward at work that's already been done, at that have already been implemented, at the way in which the organization has been operating for a number of years. So when we think about the award for that type of work, all Bush Prize awards have to be utilized for a charitable purpose. So with that, organizations that are eligible are 501c3 public charities or government entities, right? So we need that tax exempt status. You can utilize a fiscal sponsor if that's helpful to your organization or to your community. Maybe you don't have a full 501c3 tax exempt status from the IRS, but you have it from the state, or you've been operating as an arm of another organization and you'd like to apply for just the work that you're doing. That is just fine. Just let us know on that application so we can make sure to take all of that into consideration as we evaluate your proposal. And the last piece of eligibility, Bush Prize honorees or winners must be located in North Dakota or one of the 5 Native nations that share the same geography. So if you are a national organization doing work in North Dakota, a Midwestern organization doing work in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, what have you, if you are not physically located in North Dakota, if you do not have offices in North Dakota, if you are not incorporated in North Dakota, you will likely be pushed out of eligibility. Because again, the entire intent of our contract with the Bush Foundation is to build the problem-solving capacity of North Dakotans and the folks who are sharing our same geography. So again, just that is something we at Strength and ND hold really firm on. This is a prize designed by North Dakotans for North Dakotans. All right, so process. So we have the Bush Prize applications opening up April 1st. It will open right away at 12:01 a.m. if you would like to stay up late and be the first to open it. And we will close that application period on April 30th. Once that application period is closed, we will move into what we call initial review. So that will be screening basically for eligibility. Are you a North Dakota-based organization? Are you a qualified entity as per the IRS? Do you have that track record of creative community solutions? Are you in good standing? All of that initial review will be done. And then we will push it over to our grant making committee, who will do kind of a criteria assessment. They will look at the criteria, score based on that criteria, and then we'll kind of look at a whittling down of getting to finalists. So we will let you know in late June whether your application is moving forward into finalist review. And then finalist review will be conducted depending on how quickly we're able to move. We like to try to stay ahead of schedule. That way we've got enough breathing room to really do good due diligence. We'll be conducting site visits for the finalists in either late June, July, or in August, depending upon what's best for that organization and what we can make work in terms of travel. So we have an initial review. Then we have a finalist review with an intention to publicly announce who the honorees will be in October of 2026. We have a joint announcement with the Bush Foundation, with the South Dakota Community Foundation, the St. Paul and Minnesota Foundation, as well as the Good Relatives Collaborative that we hold all together. We haven't quite landed on a specific date for that yet, but we do know that it will be in October. So again, we've got our timeline. Today is our Bush Prize Q&A webinar. Applications open up April 1st, close April 30th. We do that internal review and due diligence June through July, do some finalist selection and notification with the selections being embargoed basically until October. And then should you be awarded, funds would be available to you typically late November, if not early December. So just kind of bookmark that in your brain. To access the guidelines, the information about Bush Prize and eventually the application, just head to our website, strengthennd.com/bushprize. And this is what the application itself will look like. The application will automatically close at 11:59 p.m. Please don't wait until the last minute to submit. We had a few folks who were working on their application and they tried to log in at 12:30, 1 a.m. and it was closed, and there's nothing I can do about it after that. Rules are rules. Please try to submit a day or two early. That would be really helpful. So a few frequently asked questions that we get before I open it up for folks to come off mute and ask questions, and I'll address any questions in the chat. The first, how do I submit my application? It's all online. We utilize Google Forms, so please note that you can't necessarily save your responses and come back to it. So we recommend that as you're working on that proposal, that you work on it in a separate Word document and then copy paste your answers in when you're ready to go. If applying online presents a barrier to you, let us know. If you've got unstable internet access, things like that, we are happy to work with you to figure out another way to submit that proposal on time. The next piece, what if the proposed work is a collaborative effort? We as one organization aren't applying, but rather a coalition of groups. We are happy to provide an award we will only provide an award to one entity, but we'll happily credit multiple organizations publicly if that is your choice. So for example, if you're a coalition of 4 organizations that are working and have that track record and want to apply together, that is totally fine. We just need one lead organization, one lead applicant who will receive the $250,000, and then however you all decide to share, split up, otherwise invest those dollars is your business, as long as it follows the guidelines of being used for a charitable purpose, and not going back to back debt or things like that. That is up to you. So we just have to have one lead or one primary applicant. The next frequently asked question that we have is, how much of a track record of innovative problem solving do we need? So we are looking at groups who have recent problem solving processes that they've gone through and recent examples. So we're looking for anywhere between up to 3 years, up to 5 years. If you provide us with examples of projects or processes that have been started and completed that are older than 5 years, those will not be considered for the track record. We're really looking at, what have you started 5 years ago or 3 years ago or more recently? So we're not going to look back any farther than 2021. So keep those examples relevant and recent. So between that 3 and 5 year time frame is what we're looking for. How much funding comes with a Bush Prize? Again, it's a flexible grant award of $250,000. This can be utilized within reason for whatever you'd like, for creative capital, to invest in your own operations, to build your reserves, to test innovative solutions, or support long-term sustainability. The only caveat that we have is that it can't be used for debt repayment, and it has to be used for charitable purposes in North Dakota. So if you are a Bush Prize honoree and you receive the $250,000 and you're like, we're going to expand over into South Dakota, that's a no-no. Keep the dollars. The dollars are meant for North Dakota. Keep them in North Dakota. Again, what can Bush Prize honorees do with the money? It has to be used for a charitable purpose. It can't be used to repay debt. It's got to be something that supports North Dakota as a whole, whether through your own programs or long-term sustainability. We will ask honorees to report publicly on how they utilize their funds. So, for example, if an organization used it to achieve pay parity with sector standards, to invest in their operational endowment fund, and to expand a couple of programs, that's perfect. That's the type of thing that we want to see. This is for that your own kind of creative capital and investing in yourself as an organization. If my organization is not a Bush Prize honoree or awarded a Bush Prize, can I get feedback about the application? Absolutely. We are happy to sit down and chat with you about the strengths of your proposal, as well as about where there were maybe holes or some ways that you could improve. Okay. With all of that being said, I'm going to look to the chat to see if there are any questions. Oops, sorry, I made that a little too big. I'm going to stop sharing here. Let's see. One of the questions that is in the chat, can a 508 or 508C1A apply for either or both of these programs? Sierra, I'm not sure what a 508C1A nonprofit is. I would have to look that up. That's not a status that I am familiar with, but I will look that up and get back to you. Another question in the chat is the Bush Foundation grant the same as the Community Creative Solutions grant? So Strengthen ND holds the contract to award grants in North Dakota around specific parameters. So with our Creative Community Solutions grant, we are awarding grants of up to $300,000 for up to a period of 6 years for processes that develop, test, or spread new and innovative ideas to existing problems. That is very similar to the Bush Foundation's Community Innovation Grants. Now, their Community Innovation Grant program has very similar criteria to ours. However, it can support a much broader scope and scale of project. Looking at, I think the award floor that they have is $200,000 or $20,000 all the way up to, several $1 million. Obviously, it's a regional program, much more competitive in that way, much more in-depth due diligence processes, but they are 2 separate programs administered by 2 separate organizations with similar criteria, just different sizes and scopes. The next question, is this only for North Dakota? The Bush Prize North Dakota, yes, is only for North Dakota organizations and organizations that serve individuals within the Native nations sharing our geography. Now, there are separate Bush Prize programs run by different organizations in South Dakota, Minnesota, and one for the Native nations sharing our geography. So the St. Paul, Minnesota Foundation holds the Bush Prize for Minnesota. The South Dakota Community Foundation holds it for South Dakota. And the Good Relatives Collaborative holds it for the 23 Native nations within North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota. So there are technically 4 Bush Prizes. This webinar is just for North Dakota and the Native nations sharing that geography. Okay. Go down here. The next question, are 501c6 organizations eligible to apply for Creative Community Solutions? Yes. Does the impact of spreading an innovative approach need to take place in North Dakota, or can our examples of spreading innovation take place in other states? So there's a couple different ways that we look at spreading. The first is the development, testing, and spreading of an organization from North Dakota to other places in North Dakota. So that's one way to look at it. The second way to look at it is the spreading of solutions that have worked in other states into North Dakota, but adapted for North Dakota's kind of nuance. So there's a couple ways that we look at that. It just depends on what the community needs and in what way this is new and innovative for that community. Okay, the next question, can you define North Dakota based? Are you looking for North Dakota based organizations or North Dakota based programs? Specifically, do we need to exclusively or primarily be doing work in North Dakota to be eligible? Or can we apply as a North Dakota-based program operating as part of an organization headquartered in another state? My initial response to this is for North Dakota organizations only. Again, our intent is to increase the problem-solving capacity of North Dakotans and the Native nations sharing our geography. So we are looking for organizations that have a specific budget for North Dakota, that have offices for North Dakota, in North Dakota, that have staff who live and work in these communities every day. So we're really looking at North Dakota based by North Dakotans for North Dakotans.
Okay.
All right, next question. And Hannah, I heard you come off mute. If you'd like to have a separate follow-up call, would be happy to do that. The next question is, does the full award need to be spent in 1 year, or what is the funding period? So that depends on the organization, what its needs are. For example, it may be beneficial for an organization to split the award up into 2 separate payments or 2 separate years or 3 separate years. That works for us. We would just have those negotiations on the front end to kind of talk about that. So in the past, honorees have taken those awards in 1 year and technically spent or otherwise allocated them within that 1 year, but we are open. Next question, what is the award amount for Creative Community Solutions? It can be up to $300,000, and that can be spent out in 1 year or all the way up to 6 years. What we're looking for is what's the problem solving process that you are proposing? What's the scope of work year over year? And what type of dollars are needed to move that forward? So a lot of projects that we've had apply are looking for, $25,000 to do kind of an initial develop year. Others are looking at going throughout the cycle over a period of years. So there really isn't a firm kind of amount that we're looking for, other than you can request up to $300,000. You cannot request more than that. The next question, how do we set up an introductory call? Just shoot me an email. We'll set some time up on a calendar. Easy peasy. My email address is Megan, MEGAN, @strengthennd.com. Is the application process the same for Creative Community Solutions? No, the application process for Creative Community Solutions is different than the Bush Prize. The Bush Prize program has a standard application and I see your hand, Spencer. The Bush Prize program has a standard application that all groups fill out and a standardized process that all groups follow. This is so that we can maintain consistency amongst the 4 Bush Prize partners in North Dakota, Minnesota, and South Dakota, and the Native nations sharing our geography. So with that, there's a due diligence and a site visit component for that. With Creative Community Solutions, you are able to be more flexible in the type of application or information that you submit. You can submit up to a 2-page narrative. It can be a flow chart, it can be a graphic, or it can be between a 3 and 5 minute audio file. Whatever type of mechanism helps you talk about your community, the problem you're seeking to solve, and the solution or the problem solving process you're hoping to implement. So a little bit different. Creative Community Solutions is more informal, more casual, more relationship building based, whereas Bush Prize is a little more evaluative criteria based. And Spencer, feel free to hop off mute because I know I just responded to your question above.
So thanks, Megan. I guess my question for Creative Community Solutions is, I I feel like community problem or just problem solving in general can be pretty wide, and I'm wondering if it's more like community development based or like would in an example where I've had some involvement, like would a problem solving methodology for trying to utilize wasted agricultural feedstock and trying to use it for some sort of creative purpose, and that would be like helpful for the local ag community. Would those types of problem solving exercises potentially qualify, or is this mainly like community development oriented?
No, we are issue agnostic. So what that means is we're looking to invest in that process. So if you've got a problem that your community is facing, regardless of whether it's traditional agriculture or it could be housing or it could be medical services or whatever, we're looking at the process that you're utilizing. So if you're developing, testing, spreading, or incorporating innovation in any way, that's what we're interested in. So I would encourage you to consider applying to understand in what way we could develop a solution or or test or pilot a solution. So I hope that's helpful.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. Another question in the chat is around the application process. Why can we have an audio submission but no video? That is a great question, and I will tell you why. When we started Creative Community Solutions, we had it so that folks could submit, either the 2-page application narrative or a 3 to 5 minute video. And what we found was people were hiring production companies and investing quite a bit of money to create this 3 to 5 minute video, which is absolutely not what we wanted. We wanted to implement the audio file or the video opportunity as more of an equity practice to make it so that whether you're a very, very good writer or not, or a good storyteller or not, you could have the same chance of funding and we wouldn't be swayed by what your video production budget was. So to maintain that spirit and to make sure that folks who where writing is not their strength, we're able to apply effectively. We removed the video option and just did the audio file component. So that is why that is like that. Can we make our presentation slides available? Yep, absolutely. They will be posted with the recording. And Jody, your question, can you apply for both? Yes, absolutely. Just make sure when you apply, Creative Community Solutions, we're looking at moving forward. So what is work we are going to do? What are partnerships we're going to leverage? What are outcomes we are going to see? Bush Prize, we're looking backward. What are things we've already done? What are partnerships we've already developed? What are outcomes we've already seen? So just make sure that we've got the right frame of mind depending on which program you're going to apply for. We have had in the past groups that were current Creative Community Solutions grantees who applied for the Bush Prize and received it, or the Bush Prize and were awarded it. So that is totally fine with us. Okay. All right, let me scan through the chat one more time. Are there any other questions that folks might have? And if you do, just feel free to come off mute. Let's see, church entry. And while we're doing that, Sierra, your question around a 501 or 508c1a organization, a faith-based entity. Faith-based entities are eligible. The work that would be cited would have to be work that is not not necessarily faith-based or not proselytizing. So that's something that we would just have to be really careful about. But yes, if it's something where they're doing really great community work that affects or supports all community members, we would definitely consider that, and we would figure out the kind of fine details after that. Okay. Jumping back over to the main chat here. My email address is Megan, MEGAN, at strengthennd.com, STRENGTHENND.com. All right. Any other questions? Feel free to raise your hand or jump off mute. As we wrap up here today, please note, Bush Prize applications will not open until April 1st. So you can download the guidelines. I believe the guidelines have the questions in a Word document that you can kind of start looking through and framing your answers around, and we would highly encourage that. The guidelines also have the definitions and the existing criteria in there. So please, please, please read and kind of absorb that criteria. Bush Prize is a competitive program. We had about 90 applicants last year, and it's, wonderful to see so many groups apply. And also, we want to make sure that everybody has the best chance possible. So please download that guidelines document, read the criteria, and make sure that you are speaking to that criteria when you are applying. Creative Community Solutions, you can begin to submit your proposals or your applications at any time. Happy to have an introductory call with anyone who would like it, just so we can, again, talk through that criteria, help me get a better understanding of your community, the problem you're seeking to solve, and maybe start thinking about how we position that proposal and get kind of prepared in that way. Our job with both Creative Community Solutions and the Bush Prize is to be your champions. We have a wonderful grant making committee from all parts of the state, representing all different kinds of sectors and perspectives, and they too are very committed to our intention of the program, which is to build the problem-solving capacity of North Dakotans. So thank you all so much for being on this webinar today. We will get it posted as soon as we can, as soon as the system kind of gets it up and ready to go. It takes a few minutes. The introductory calls, Tanner, for your question, for Creative Community Solutions, we would love to have an introductory call with you before you put together a proposal for Creative Community Solutions. The due diligence call comes after, so that way we can standardize the information and get any questions answered that we might need. So if you're interested in applying to Creative Community Solutions, let me know. We can get you into that kind of introductory call pipeline and provide you with as much information as we can so you can put forward the best possible proposal that you can. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need further clarification. Again, we are working really hard to be your champions, and we want each organization or community to have the best chance possible. So we will let you go. Thank you all so much, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.